great schus to join in this wonderful program done by Rabbi Tarragon and people close to him as we are in the 3 weeks getting ready for a difficult day, Tisha B'Av. And I hope the words that come out of my mouth will be correct and proper and appropriate. The parashiyos of Bahaloischa, Shlach, Kairach, Chukas, Balak are very difficult to comprehend. Remember, Klal Yisrael just left Har Sinai not that long ago, very short while ago. They spent nearly a year over there in Har Sinai after Matan Torah, a year less 10 days, and here we are going into the Midbar. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is preparing them to go into Eretz Yisrael. They're going into Eretz Yisrael. That's their lifelong dream, to go into Eretz Yisrael. 3 days, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is rushing it for 1 day, and suddenly in Parshas Ba'alaischa we have a problem. We have a problem in Parshas Ba'alaischa. They're traveling for a short while. They're traveling for a very, very short while, but it was difficult, and the Midbar is very difficult. Already after the Kriyas Yamsuf, they already had a problem with shortage of water. Not a simple place to be. Chazal tell us that there are 2 psukim that don't belong there in Parshas Ba'alaischa. 2 psukim that don't belong there are the psukim of Ahim and Saya Arain, which is really belongs by the Degalim, and then comes the Parsha of the Messianim. Complainers, kvetchers, which I want to address today a little bit. They're not happy. Rashi says some very, very difficult words. Mavakshim alila. They're leaving now. They just saw Kriyas Yamsuf. They saw Matan Torah. They saw such great things. And they're disappointed. They got problems here. Woe is to us. We've had such a hard time, such a tircha the road. That's one perennius. So Rashi tells us, Chazal tells us the reason why these 2 psukim with what's called the nun hafuchais, there's 2 upside down nuns at the beginning of Vayichan Mitzayarin and upside down nun at the end of Vayichan Mitzayarin, and last pasuk Kuma Hashem v'nucha yaimar. Upside down nuns. Why? Lahavdil ben Peranius to Peranius, to separate the 2 bad things that happened to Klal Yisrael. 2 bad things. What was the first thing? Because I'll tell us, when they left Har Sinai, they left a little bit too quickly. You were just by Matan Torah. You were sitting and you have, as the Marsha says, the Lashon, you had a yeshiva there. And you left so quickly. That's a Peranius. That's just as bad, it seems to be, as the Peranius of Yom Kippur. They left too quickly. Agav, don't want to go for the tangent at the very beginning of the few words that I'm going to say it today. But the Marsha says, you know what the problem was? The problem was, the reason why they got into the Messianim, it's all one Peranius. When they left Har Sinai, they left their yeshiva. When you're in a yeshiva, you're protected within the 4 walls of the yeshiva. And you're learning Torah. It wasn't a Midbar Takabar, Har Sinai, but they were learning Torah. That was their yeshiva. They left the yeshiva, you're in trouble. Leaving the yeshiva is not a Pasha Zach, not Pasha at all. And once they left the yeshiva, they forgot a little bit. I always tell the Bachram in yeshiva, stay connected to yeshiva. I tell the young light when they leave, they have to go into the workplace. Wherever they're going, stay connected to yeshiva. I once heard from Ramesha Brown, I was saying, Yeshiva Far Rockaway. He was telling me a Merdik story that in Eretz Yisrael, when he was in Eretz Yisrael in Baltimore, there was a younger man that came to say goodbye to his ready outgoing Rav Ruderman, and he says he's going in Aliyah to Eretz Yisrael. Rav Ruderman tells him, amongst the brachas that he gave him, he says to him, remember one thing, always stay connected to yeshiva. Stay connected to yeshiva because that's what will keep you there, honest in Torah and Avodah. Stay connected to yeshiva. The fellow went Aliyah to Eretz Yisrael, and then he joined the Miluim. On his first day in the Miluim, that first time, the captain gave a drush, sort of an orientation to everybody, an orientation of what the army is all about. And this particular fellow was an apikairis. He spoke very, very negatively about the Kechi Vaytzim and there's no Rabbi Shalom in the world. And he spoke mamish, pech and shvelbi, saying Yiddish, not nicely. This fellow coming out of yeshiva was so upset. How can I sit there and listen to this divrei kfira from this person? How can I do that? How can I do that? It's not shayach. Bekitza, he wants to get up, scream out at the fellow. He didn't have the ha'azah. He couldn't do it. There was a little Sephardi fellow, short fellow, clearly not a yeshiva man, but he stood up and he started screaming, Apikoret, what are you talking so negatively? You can't talk against the Kadosh Baruch Hu. How can you? Before he knew it, 2 of the soldiers came. They escorted him away and they put him into 2 days of sort of solitary confinement over there, whatever they have over there in the Miluim. When this fellow coming out of yeshiva was so upset, why didn't I have the gump, the oomph to get up and give it to the fellow over his head? Why didn't I do that? And he said, I got to find this guy. And he finds him, he says to him, I got to tell you, I'm embarrassed. What you did, he says to the fellow, I should have done. Why did you do it? And then he says to Magav, amongst his words, he says to him, tell me, what do you do for a living? He says, I'm the cook in Panavish. And the words that Rav Ruderman, his Rebbe, told him rang in his head. Stay connected to yeshiva. They left their yeshiva. They left their yeshiva by Har Sinai. And once you leave your yeshiva and you're unprotected, the Messiahim are going to follow. So we have two said, what happened to the Messiahim? What's done Geshen? They want meat. They're not happy. Nafshenu kotza b'lechem acclaimed. We're not happy. We're not zufrieden, sagen die Eden. They had the mun. They had the mun. Whatever they wanted, they could have in the mun. Whatever was they will, they could have in the mun. Nafshenu yevesha ein kol bilti alaman einenu. The next pasuk, Rashi says, that's not them talking. That's HaKadosh Baruch Hu talking. V'hamon kizra gadhu v'ene kein abdelach. So Rashi, Misha Amazu lo Yamazu. Whoever said the first pasuk of Nafshenu Yevesha Ein Kael, he didn't say this pasuk, which describes the beauty of the man. We're trying to understand how could the third day, the great third day, which is considered the greatest day of the world, come down to such a level of B'saynim and L'Haktik to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. How could it happen? We want to say today a little bit, maybe they were complaining too much, they kvetched too much. Tzufil, Zok Rashi, a famous Rashi. Kalaimar, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, "Mon kizra gadu," you can have whatever you want. You know what the man tasted? You wanted the man to taste like steak. It did. You wanted pizza. Even sushi you could have had. You could have whatever you wanted. They want meat. They want. They're not so freedom. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu to the world. Ru'u b'aylam. See, people of the world. Alma mislainin and bane. What my kids are complaining about. Hurt. They have the money. They don't have to work for their food. It comes to their doorstep. They have whatever they want, whatever you want to taste. And they're kvetchy and they're complaining. We're not happy. We're not so free in the mention. Avram Pam Sechatzadik Kadosh L'Bracha, the Yeshiva Darchei has a myriad of kishmus in the Sefer HaTorah L'Melech on this topic, which will lead us to what I want to bring out the point. He uses four mishalim. We're not happy. We kvetch. We complain. And he says, and I want to give you the myriad of kazelu mazeh. Just imagine. Major machlaikis, people have disagreements in halacha. Who walks down to the chuppah? Father, mother, and mother, or father, mother, and father, mother. There are some chassidim also who have father, mother. Still the chassidim, I believe, have father, mother. Difference of opinion. So Trapam, people invest in a wedding. They put in tremendous dollars into a wedding, tremendous money into a wedding, and then mishlakt with the chasana. They argue, they complain about what? The Welt says Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky had 6 children. Father, somebody wants to ask them, why is it that by 3 of your weddings you walk down father, and 3 of your weddings you walk down father? Why? He says, I have a minig. I do whatever the Chatanim want. I want to tell you a murder story. I had 2 weddings one night, and I went to the first wedding, and I couldn't leave till after the dancing. It was a Yeshiva wedding. And I left the wedding, and I came to the second wedding, different borough altogether, at 10:30 at night. In America, 10:30 means you're coming into the end or maybe in the middle of the second dance. There's a chuppah, and then people, for an hour, they wait for the photographers to finish working, whatever they do, and then comes the meal, and you have a dance, of course, with the chas and kala comes in, and then comes the meal, then there's a second dance. I expected to come in to the end of the second dance. I come in, no gizmais, Rabbi said, no gizmais. I come into the second dance. Very nice wedding, covered a little over the top wedding. And I see, I see that people are coming out of the chuppah. I said, what's going on over here? Chuppah just ended? I wasn't looking for Lashon Hara. Somebody says to me, you know what happened there? There was a certain Yid that was supposed to be Messiah Kedushin. And right before the chuppah, he asks, how are you walking down? Father, mother. And they said, father, mother. I said, I can't be Messiah Kedushin. He says, I don't mind. It's okay, get another Messiah Kedushin. But I don't walk down, when you have father, mother walking together, I'm not Messiah Kedushin. So the Chatanim who asked this person Messiah Kedushin said, no. They said, we want you to be Messiah Kedushin, and you have to walk down father. In the meantime, the other side said, no way. The mother said, I'm walking down with my daughter. We're not changing anything. For over an hour and a half, the animal chama, the 2 sides. They invested probably who knows how many tens of thousands of dollars into the wedding. They finally went down to the chuppah around 10 o'clock at night. And 10:30 the chuppah is over and everybody was leaving. They're going home. They have families at home. The babysitters are waiting. He heard Rabbi say, you invested, you put in the melchama. This is what you complain about. This is what you fight about. Zok Pam. This is what you argue about. Who should walk down to the chuppah? Rabbi say, heard. I want to tell you a little known story that's a murder. I heard it from a Yid, Yerushalayim Yid, who heard it from a person who was there at the chasana. Milcha Mer Varim Amench Kishmak, a person in the going of Chaim Shmulevitz, and he went to Cave Rachel. People would stand around and hear him cry, full of emotion. Chaim Shmulevitz, and imagine what it was like for him, having lost his entire mishpach in World War II, and he ran with Miri Yeshiva to Shanghai, and he got out in 1947. Went to Israel, and finally, I believe in the early 50s, he's ready to marry off his oldest daughter. And the night of the chuppah is here. Imagine the Chaim with the varmkeit, with the hearts, after seeing his whole family decimated, Rahman al-Islam, and he's going now to the chuppah with his daughter, Baruch Hashem. Just before the chuppah, he says to his daughter, Abba and Ima, I'm not going to walk you down to the chuppah. She turns around and says, why? Madua lama, why? Because, you know, your chassan, who was none other than the great Reb Nachum, who became the greatest Maggid in his time in Miri Yeshiva, he also lost in Miri Yeshiva. He was also Talmud Yeshiva. He lost his entire family. No parents, no brothers, no sisters. We forget that the Holocaust was. Says Reb Chaim to his daughter, you're going to be walking down to the chuppah, and your chassan, Reb Nachum, is up there without parents, and Reb Nachum is doing a Welt Shidduch, and you're going to walk down, and he's going to see, I have no parents. I don't want to hurt him. Reb Elya Baruch Finkel's parents, Reb Moshe Finkel, and his Rebbetzin walked down the column. You heard Rabbi say? You heard? Reb Chaim gave up to walking down, not to hurt. Maybe there's a wedding. Reb Nachum is marrying the Miri Yeshiva's daughter. Maybe not to hurt the feelings of Reb Nachum. Zelu Mazeh. You take a matziv, you either can kvetch, you can complain, or the opposite. So Trapam. Ru, boy, Eilam, Alma, Mislainin and Banai. This, a bacha comes home from yeshiva, and his mother prepared a beautiful tuna platter with little tomatoes at Trapam. Vegetables, red and green, it's gorgeous. And the boy says to his mother, this 15-year-old boy can do it. Tuna fish again. Ru, boy, Eilam, Ma, Mislainin, what my children are complaining about. Imagine. Or a husband comes home from work. I tell this, I have a vad yeshiva at Shalom Bayis. Just young light all the time. They're wonderful young light, but aim is ours and elm is rosin. You come home, and there's toys laying around the dining room and the living room, wherever they are in the kitchen. And maybe even trip over one. And you say to your wife, what is this? Why is the house not clean? Hey, tzaddik, you know, she worked all day. She got up early in the morning first to prepare lunch for all the kids. Right? She does the laundry. Your dirty laundry she's doing. She's cooking, she's baking, she's cleaning. She's exhausted. You try. Some people told me now with the COVID-19, with men being home, they have to take over for their wives sometimes. It wasn't pashut. We don't give our wives enough credit. The super ladies of Klal Yisrael. Really. Dr. Pam, you complain about the toys on the floor? That's what you're complaining about? You should stand in awe of your Rebbe and what she does for you. Rav Pam didn't start the Seder without thanking his wife. Rav Pam did always make sure to give credit. Reuben and Ba'ilam. Look, world, what my children are complaining about. I want to say tonight, maybe today, Rabbi said we got to be careful. How we complain, what we complain. Maybe that was the problem here. They were fetching on the road. They were tired. I always said, by the way, we have to Yamsuf. Maybe that was a credit to Klal Yisrael. They complained there's no water. They just saw Kriyas Yamsuf. What are you complaining about? What are you fetching about? You know, they were 3 days. You don't find they were punished for that particular complaining. They weren't punished. Maybe you know why they weren't punished? You know, it's like we're having a baby wants a bottle. An hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, how about 6 hours? How about 12 hours? But then the kid is so screaming he doesn't have a voice left. A day, 2 days, 3. They waited 3 days. Maybe that's the Milo Klaisa, but the third day should have never complained. The third day should have never complained ever. And we can't let Rabbi say depression get us. We can't. We've got to be very, very careful. The Klaisa got into a matzav of depression. They were down. You know, Parshas Chukas, we just read last week. It was 2 weeks ago. Parshas Chukas, and it's Israel, 38 years disappear. It's very interesting what Rashi tells us about Chukas. Always bother me. You can say it's a klutz kasha. Always bother me. I found someone that does ask it. Shamuel, Moshe, Mikaitzer, Ruach, Mavay, the Kashim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu sent Moshe and Aaron to Paro into the Jews. They showed him the Moshe said it's going to be Gevaldik. They couldn't listen. Always that kasha bothered me a little bit. Shamuel, Moshe, Mikaitzer, Ruach, Mavay, the Kasha. Which comes first? Rashi says Kaitzer Ruach means they couldn't catch their breath. So which one comes first? I'm asking you, no? Rabbi said, when I run up 5 flights of stairs, I'm out of breath. Should have said, Avay the Kasha and Kaitzer Ruach. First comes Avay the Kasha. I guess this many years ago to someone, a Rebbe, it's nothing in the Torah, it's a cheshbon. And then I came across a pasuk. And we have to be careful, Rabbi say. Sometimes the parnas is hard, things are difficult. The house must be b'simcha. The kids should never see parents complaining. No kvetching. No kvetching. You know the famous word for Ramesha. Ramesha said over. By the Shinim and Levaya. There was a family, the Shinim in Mishpacha in New York. They lived in Washington, D.C. 9 children all came out from in the 1920s. And the father, a parrot Shineman, raised with his Rebbitzin 9 children, Kanahara, Mishpacha all over the world. Tremendous family. And you know what happened? He once told me, Agab, Reb Chudi Shineman, one of the children once told me we used to play on the lawn of the White House. Imagine today, they'll let you go in, who knows how many yards of the White House. And one time they were playing on the yards of the White House on a Shabbos, and a gentleman comes over to him, he says, what are these strings? What are these strings, the tzitzis over there? So one of the boys says, it's to remember all of the commandments that God gives us. So this man says to them, good thing, keep your traditions. Playing on the lawn of White House. You know the man was President Calvin Coolidge. And this mishpacha was Givaldik. A wonderful family. And they moved to New York. And their parent Shriman unfortunately was hit by a car, and Ramesh Tzaddik Livracha, the great Pesach Adar and Granddaughter Ramesh Ramesh spoke in his Levaya. He spoke at the Levaya and he says the following, he says, why is it that 2 million, something of this nature, that 2 million Jews came to America in the early 1900s from Russia and they all disappeared? They came with the proverbial long white beard. And they were from people, many of them. Not all of them, for Shtetzach. And suddenly they disappeared. 2 million people assimilated. They're gone, disappeared, out of here. He says, you know why? They were Meiser Nefesh. But they used to say, it's schwer zu sein Ayid. A little kvetch, it's hard to be a Jew. Because they used to go to work on Friday, the boss said, be here Saturday. If you don't show up Saturday, no job on Monday. They would come on Monday, pink ticket, that's it, you're gone. I had an uncle who told me he got fired from job after job after job after job. But he never said, it's schwer zu sein Ayid. But these people said, so why did the children hear? The children heard the kvetch, the complaint. It's schwer zu sein Ayid. You got to be very, very careful. Maybe means they were demoralized that time. They were demoralized. They were down in the dumps so many years in Mitzrayim. When you are demoralized, then all avodah is kosher. That's what the pasuk is saying. Rashi does say over there, Rashi does say a short of breath. But it maybe means also this thing, they were just down. Ruach, the spirit, the geist, you say in Yiddish, was gone. Because all avodah. A younger man once was very demoralized, and the press once told me, my wife asked me to take out the trash. I can't even do that. I found a Raya brewer, Rabbi say. In Paisach Chukas, Aaron HaKayin is nifta. Vayivku, I say, Kol Beis Yisrael. All Beis Yisrael cried for him. The Nashim and Anashim, because he tried to make shalom by everybody. And then they also tried to go through Edom, and Edom said, no. You're not passing through here. Look what Rashi says. Rashi says, Chazru l'chareim derech Yamsuf. Chazru l'chareim sheva masois. So v'tiktzar nefesh on b'dorech. So Rashi b'toyrech haderech shuk shalem amru. Achshav ayinu krayvim lichanes la'aretz. This is the new Daira, Rabbi say. This is the second, this is the Daira. All of that Meisei the people from the Midbar died already. And now it's their children. We were so close to Eretz Yisrael, we're going backwards. Kach chazru aviseinu. This is what our fathers did. They went backwards. And we're going backwards too. We're going to be stuck at 38 years also. That's why. Batitzar nefesh ambadorach. Kotzar means in Yiddish you say eng, shmol, tight. They couldn't handle it. Look, Rashi, what happened? Listen to these words. A psychologist dreamed this, Rashi. Mamish, psychologist dream. V'chol davar akash al adam. Something that's difficult on a person. Neifel by lashon kitzur nefesh. The nefesh, the neshama is kotzar. It can't handle it. And look at the words. Too much tircha, too much work comes upon him. He has no breath. B-R-E-A-D-T-H to be makabel this thing. He doesn't have it. He can't handle it. He's just too small-minded right now. He can't handle it. The heart has no place to live with that tsar. That's what tiktzar. That's maybe what I said before. So all avodah is kosher. They couldn't handle it. They just couldn't do it. They couldn't do it. So they started kvetching. They started complaining. Are we kvetches? Do we complain? Or we get upset about covet, marriage and silliness? There's a fellow in our community, a wonderful guy, Bernie Elephant. He told me once that Rav Pam was supposed to be his Masada Kedushin. And then he came to the other side, the college side asked, they had a certain person who wanted him to Kedushin, please, can we do it? He felt bad going to his Rebbe, but he said, I'll go to my Rebbe. He went to talk to his Rebbe, the great Rav Pam was midas were unbelievable. And he says to Rav Pam, Rebbe, I'm sorry, this and that. Rav Pam says, you're sorry? Do me one favor, he says. Do me one favor. Give me the 6th bracha at the chuppah. This is the Rav Pam, when he didn't go to a wedding, I once came to his house, and normally he was always on time for a meeting, and he apologized. Afterwards he said, I was saying some Tillim because one of my Talmidim was getting married out of town. I couldn't go to the chasana, so I promised him I'll say Tillim during the chuppah. This is the Rav Pam. Zok Rav Pam, do me one favor, he says to Bernie. One favor, he says to him. Give me the 6th bracha. You know, I'm a kain. I'm going to say the words, Sameach to Samach Reim Ahuvim. Be Sameach, 2 people who like each other, who love each other. Samecha Yitzircha Ben Eden Bekedem. I'll have kavana that your home should be a home of simcha. That you and your wife, you and Kala, should have a life of simcha. Then I'll say Baruch Atah Hashem. Sameach Hashem V'chala. Do me a favor, that'll be my greatest pleasure. That's Rav Pam. Doesn't get insulted, doesn't get upset. He just is happy they can do something. Kairach, what happened with Kairach? Rashi is Marol Ishtuzah Kairach. And Ein Mempelas, his wife, L'chayr, was right. She says to Ein Mempelas, what are you doing? There's 250 of you. There's Dasan Aviram, there's Kairach. And what are you doing this for? Only one could be chosen? What's Kairach doing? A little covet. A little covet. I know 4 mishpachas. Chosh families in America. There are many more than that, Rabbi say. Many more than that. 4 mishpachas. And you know what? They don't talk to each other. You know why? Fighting over money, over the will. Maybe it's better to have a will without it. Is that the worst nightmare of parents? Kvetching, complaining? They're fighting over money. They haven't talked to each other. When I learned the Mir Yeshiva, there were 2 cousins there, survivors of Europe. First cousins, 2 Bachrim, best friends, of course. Their fathers were brothers, and that's the only relatives they had. Each of them had one brother, that was it. Their own father and mother and brothers and sisters and whatever. Everybody was killed in the war. And they each had a son in our yeshiva. When I came to the chasna of one of them, I hadn't seen him for many years, and I look around and I said, somebody, where's the cousin? And you don't ask a story. You don't mean to make chas v'shalom lashon hara. He says, you don't know. He says, the fathers had a fight. 2 surviving brothers had an argument. They had a fight, and they stopped talking to each other. The children can't talk. No one could talk. What? This is what you survived the war? And you know what, Rabbi say? Listen to this. They didn't talk to each other for 37 years. It was an Irish guy at the beginning of the fight. Complaining, kvetching. Didn't talk to each other for 37 years. Until when? One of them was nifta. You know, this is something interesting. I'm maybe going on a little too long. I'm sorry. My mother, Allah Shalom, I'm telling you it was public, it's a private zach. My mother, Allah Shalom, left her nothing. We had no money. My father was a chinich, my mother was a chinich. Hand-me-downs my whole life. And all we wore was hand-me-downs. Who knew for anything else? We had labels on our shirts with other people's names. My mother tried to take it out for us. We got a suit for Yontif. As little kids, we got a suit. My mother took us to a cousin who had a shot in free suit company. We got a suit, and we also got a pair of shoes for Yontif. You know, we were a happy family, Baruch Hashem. My mother was Nifteris. My father was just many, many, many years before that. And we sat down together. We started thinking about, my mother owned a house in Borough Park. That's what she owned. I was home with my mother for many years until I got married. And then my sister, Ola Shalom Rebbetzin, Esther Epstein, Reb Chaim Epstein's Rebbetzin. They moved to New York. My mother bought a house. My Epstein lived upstairs. My mother lived downstairs. And we just started thinking, what's going to happen now? There's a Yerusha. My mother left the house at that time, right? It was worth maybe $1 million. And the 6 of us could share close to $200,000 each. And we got together, the 5 of us, without my sister, Esther Epstein. We got together. But I want to give you a Hagdama. My mother was in a comatose state for a number of months of her life. I had the schus of having the night shift with my mother when she was sick. And my sister, Esther Moshe, came downstairs when I was there. My mother was ready. We thought going into a coma. She was home still. And she blurted out something to my sister. She says, Esther Moshe, gedank. Esther Moshe, remember. No fighting between the kids. Of course, my sister started crying. She figured that's a tzava. And I started crying. My mother went back into her sleepy state. And then she got into the hospital a few days later. I think those may have been the last words. Why was my mother worried? Why was she worried? We got along. I'm not saying the kids should fight, when kids have fights, arguments. We got along, Baruch Hashem, b'li ayin hara. The worst nightmare of parents is that the kids should have a machlokes. So here we are now. My mother's in the terrace, and there's a house. So the 5 of us went out. My sister Esther Moshe had a little meeting, and we said we're going to call her in, and we're going to tell her, because if we sell the house, my brother-in-law was again a chinuch, where she was a melech. No money. Where's she going to live in Borough Park? We all sat together, 5 of us. We're giving away the house to my sister. I'm showing off now. Forgive me. We called her in. We said, that's the much of the house is yours. What do you think I would have done with $150,000, $200,000? I would have spent it. It would have been gone. All of us would have spent it. She insisted on giving each of us a few dollars. Minor dollars. I look back now. Wow. Wasn't that wonderful? Where would the money be today? Fragach. Achlaikus in Klal Yisrael. The 3 weeks, Rabbi said, the 3 weeks. The base was destroyed because of sin as chinam. And we complain and we kvetch. Nothing is good enough. Nothing is good enough. We have to, Rabbi say, decide what we're going to do. I think about it. Do we have, we just went through the lockdown. Still, the world is still problematic now. COVID-19. Who didn't feel bad for the grandfathers and the grandmothers that were locked up at home, quarantined? There are still people today that are quarantined. They're scared. And they couldn't have any relatives. They couldn't have anybody coming. I'll leave you with a great story. I said, no one coming. And we all felt bad. People came to the houses. And they danced in front of the house. Erev Yom Tov or Erev Shabbos. Lamaisa, there were widows, sitting all alone the whole Pesach. Do we teach our kids to have enough derech eretz for our grandfathers and our grandmothers and our zaydis and our bubbies? Do we appreciate them? Or do we hear them kvetch? We gotta go to zaydi and bubby again, to Saba, to Savta again? Are we mechanech them? How about as adults? Do we kvetch when our parents come to visit us? Do we have to go visit them? What do we do, Rabbi say? Let's have a lesson. We cared for them so much now. Come on. Let's do. I was Zayich. I had a grandfather. When I was in Torah as a child, I say this over in Yeshiva all the time. There were 35 kids in my class in Torah. There could have been 140 grandparents. I grew up in the 1950s. And you know what? In my entire class, there could have been 140 grandparents. There were 10. Mostly from a few families. And I was Zayich to a grandfather. My father was an American who came from Europe. You have Rabbi say. And now we have grandparents. We take care of them. Well, if they're coming, Zaidi Bubby, you have to stop to visit them. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You have a schos to visit your bubby. I demand in Yeshiva that we should write letters. Write a letter. How many grandmothers have told me that they keep the letters, the children write them, just how are you, bubby, and I love you, bubby. They keep it in the night table and they read it again and again. Why can't you make sure that every one of your children and grandchildren write letters to their grandparents? One boy says to me once, a little kid, I should write a letter. I have 11 grandparents and great-grandparents. I said, Nebuch, that's your problem. What are we doing about it? We're finding ways to not complain? Let me leave you with a very big story. I know the person who it happened to. Pesach comes. There's a widow living in Lakewood, New Jersey, next door to a couple, a wonderful couple. A wonderful, wonderful couple. And they knew that this lady is going to be quarantined by herself. But the houses were very close to each other. And there was like 10, 15 feet between windows. So they suggested to the lady, to the almana, since your children can't be here, we'll have our seder. We will keep the window open. The first night was a cold night. And you'll keep your window open. We'll sing the seder in the gunim, and we'll tell her Torah, and we'll say it out loud so you can hear us. The lady said, wonderful, wonderful. But I'm not finished yet. The lady was so thankful she could participate in this Durham together with this family next door, a young couple with a bunch of children. You know what they had to do? The room where the houses matched each other was a bedroom. They moved out all their furniture from their bedroom. I know the story firsthand, Rabbi say. I know the people. They shtickle mishpacha with me. B'chutanim, I should say. They moved out all the furniture and they took all the dining room furniture and moved it into that room. And she could see even the Seder from her window. Furthermore, they went and called the children of this widow. Tell me how your father ran his Seder. What were his nagunim? What did he do with the Seder? And they trained with their kids. They practiced the songs to make the woman feel good. Just happened now. An hour there. Look at the story. And they practiced the Seder while Elizabeth hugged him. And they started to say that she was there by the window. And they were watching each other the best you could do through windows. And they started singing their gunim. And she was very happy. They did everything like Herman hugging more because they got it from the children. Her children. After it was over, the mother calls her children and says, wow, what this couple did to me. What this couple did to me. And you know what? They sing the exact same songs that Abba used to sing. The same in Hagim. Little did she know that they found out the songs. Can we do that for our own families? Can we stop complaining? Can we treat our wives beautifully? And our husbands? I give them a to the young light. And she said, can we do that? Can we teach our kids not to kvetch or to complain? When you complain, it could be, how do you understand Kairach and the Meraglim and all these stories and Messianim? It starts with little things. Kvetching, complaining. This should be maybe a Kabbalah of ours now, as we're in the 3 weeks, to see to it just to be nice, not to be jealous, not to look for covet, to help other people. We should be zeicha, if we care for each other, that by doing all this together, it'll speed the coming of Mashiach Tzidkenu. Amen. Thank you.